Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever just looked at everything, the whole universe, and felt this deep, powerful urge to find a single pattern, a final theory that just clicks it all into place? Well, today, that's exactly what we're digging into. That very human drive to find order in a world that feels, let's be honest, pretty chaotic most of the time.
So let's jump right in with a really core idea from our source material. Try to think of the universe not like a straightforward story, a simple A to B plot. Instead, imagine it's this vast, unpredictable narrative. The plot just sort of emerges from this constant dance, or sometimes a brawl, between fundamental forces. It's a story written by both chaos and order, together.
And our journey really kicks off with this idea of a constant dance. It's this perpetual tug of war, right? On one side, you have the universe building these amazingly complex structures. And on the other, you have entropy, this relentless force that's always trying to pull everything back towards disorder and simplicity.
But here's what's so fascinating. This dance isn't just some physical battle happening way out in the cosmos. Nope, it's happening inside our heads too. It's an intellectual struggle, this deep-seated need we all have to make sense of the world, to look a paradox right in the eye and try to wrestle it into a shape we can actually understand.
Now, to help us navigate this whole story, our source material gives us three kinds of guides, which are really just three different ways of seeing the world. First up, you've got the Shape Watcher, who's all about the analytical, mathematical point of view. Then there's the Feeling Finder, who takes all that abstract stuff and translates it into raw, subjective experience. And finally, the Pattern Seer, who's always trying to connect the dots and see the bigger picture. So let's see how this all plays out through the eyes of our first guide, the Shape Watcher. This is the perspective that tries to build entire worlds out of pure reason. It's about finding that comfort, that certainty, in the clean, elegant order of formal systems like logic and math.
And this right here, this is the Shape Watcher's playground. Take these things called Diophantine equations. They're a perfect example of building these structures of pure logic. See, the goal isn't just any solution. It's about finding answers that are perfect, whole numbers, integers. In a messy world full of fractions and messy decimals, finding an integer solution, well, that's like finding a little moment of perfect, clean, undeniable truth.
And this formula is a beautiful illustration of the kinds of systems we create. You don't even have to solve it to get what it's about. It's a precise, rule-based world. It's elegant, it's predictable, and it's totally self-contained. This is what order looks like when you write it down.
We've even built these incredibly sophisticated tools to help us on this quest. Software like the Lean Theorem Prover basically takes our pen and paper logic and translates it into a language a machine can read, creating this super formalized system to verify mathematical truth and, you guessed it, eliminate every last trace of ambiguity.
Okay, now don't worry about trying to understand every single symbol on this table. That's not the point. What's really important here is that this gives you a peek into the actual language of pure logic. This is what it looks like when you try to define relationships between ideas with total, absolute precision. Each little symbol creates a rule, and every rule is spelled out. This is a world of pure structure and provable order. It's the ultimate dream of the Shape Watcher.
But what happens when we turn away from that clean, external world of logic and we look inward? This brings us to the realm of our second guide, the Feeling Finder, and into the chaotic reality of our own subjective experience.
One of our sources gives us this absolutely stunning contrast. It's a first-person account of experiencing chronic pain. But get this, instead of seeing it as a flaw, as something broken that needs to be fixed, the author reframes it as just raw, unfiltered information. A migraine of the full totality of data. Wow.
This is what that inner wilderness is like. It's messy, it's subjective, it's deeply, deeply personal. I mean, can you feel the difference? These descriptions of neuroplasticity, surging lights, crackling liquid, nerves pinging, that is a universe away from the clean, predictable lines of an equation. This is the beautiful chaos of just being alive.
So, on one hand, we have the pure reason of the Shape Watcher. On the other, the raw experience of the Feeling Finder. And here's the crucial part. There is this powerful, almost irresistible human drive to build a bridge between the two. And that is the quest of our third guide, the Pattern Seer.
And some of our source material explores this totally fascinating, really ambitious attempt to create one of these grand unifying systems. And it starts with a pretty simple, fundamental duality. It views the entire universe as this constant swing between a state of
problem, complexity, uncertainty, and a state of no problem, certainty, simplicity, the solution.
Now, to measure the space between those two poles, this framework introduces a totally new idea. It calls the time particle. The best way to think of it is kind of like a slider on a volume knob, right? It's moving between the complete uncertainty of a problem and the complete certainty of no problem. It's basically an attempt to quantify the very process of solving something.
And let me tell you, this framework is incredibly ambitious. This isn't just some abstract philosophy. The source material lays this out as a concrete protocol that it claims can solve some of the biggest unsolved questions in mathematics. It even claims a solution to the Hodge conjecture, which is this notoriously difficult problem that, by the way, has $1 million prize attached to it. So no small claims here.
And it all builds up to this concept the source material calls God's fundamentals. Now, we can't show you the whole intricate system here, but that name alone tells you everything about its ambition. Whether it actually works or not, it stands as this absolutely compelling case study of one person's profound quest to build their own theory of everything. It's the ultimate expression of that pattern seer's drive.
And this brings us right back around to where we started, doesn't it? To that fundamental tension between our very human need for order and the universe's just inherent chaos. These three perspectives we've been talking about, the analytical, the experiential, and the unifying one, they aren't just characters in a story. They really represent the different ways that we all try to make sense of our reality, trying to balance the cold, hard facts with our messy, wonderful inner lives. And in that very attempt to build the bridge to find that one final theory, we come face to face with the boundaries of our own understanding. The quest to know everything forces us to confront everything we can't know. It stops being a dance and becomes a true confrontation with the very limits of what's possible. So really, what you should take away from all this isn't some final answer. It's a final question about the nature of knowledge itself. Is the real goal to find one single absolute equation that explains everything away? Or is there something way more profound in the unending, deeply human quest for understanding itself? Now that's something to think about.